So two questions to go along with this. The first is, does the commutative property hold for true? And the commutative property is basically when we just switch things around. So for example, 1 plus 2 is the same as 2 times 2 plus 1, or 1 times 2 is 2 times 1. In this case, A times B, does that equal B times A? Well, it doesn't, because in the last slide we worked out A times B and we got an answer for a matrix, but B times A ended up being undefined. So the order in which you place the matrices for the multiplication really does matter here. So our answer for that is going to be no. The next question, how about the associative property? So the associative property, say if we do A times B first and then multiply that result times C, is that the same as doing B times C and then multiplying that result times A, as long as we put A in the front of that multiplication? And the answer to that is yes. We're not going to work out everything, but I will show you just from the rule of multiplying matrices how this can be true. Let's say, for example, we choose A and B. So A, matrix A, and matrix B. A is a 2 by 2, and B is a 2 by 3. And the insides match up, so they can be multiplied together, and the answer will come out to be a 2 by 3. Then, if we multiply that result by matrix C, so C is a 3 by 2, the insides match up, so we can actually do it, and then we'll get, in the end, a 2 by 2. So a 2 by 2 for this answer. Next, let's look at the other end where it's A times BC grouped together. So first we would do B times C, so a 2 by 3 and a 3 by 2. These match up, and our new matrix would be a 2 by 2. And then A needs to be in front of that, so if we do A times that, a 2 by 2, the inside dimensions match up, and the outside are the result, a 2 by 2. So either way, we're going to get a 2 by 2 matrix in the end. And this isn't really a perfect proof because I don't have actually the actual elements in it, but it does at least show that the problems can be done. Okay. Here is a word problem. So the revenue generated by sales in Vancouver and Quebec branches of the A Plus Auto Parts store is below. If the Canadian dollar was worth 0.65, so 65 cents at the time, compute the revenue in US dollars. So this is just a scalar multiplication problem. All we have to do is make a matrix and multiply the matrix by 0.65. So it's going to look something like this. So 140, 30, 26. Okay, and just scalar multiplication, so 0.65 times all of that. Alright, and that is going to come out to be, oops, we're going to get 91, 68, 25, 19.5, 23.4, 62.4, no, I have the zeros here because I'm talking about dollars, and 31.20. Alright, there's our new matrix. Another word problem here. The store sells wiper blades for $7 each, cleaning fluid for $3 per bottle, and floor mats for $12 each. Use matrix multiplication to find the total revenue generated by sales of these items. So it looks like we have a chart of the number of each item that was sold. And if with the chart, it looks like we pretty much have a column matrix, like a vertical column. So that's a 3 by 1. So we need to put these numbers, these price numbers, in a 1 by 3 so that we can multiply those together. So, for example, if wiper blades cost $7, cleaning fluid is 3, and then floor mats are 12. Okay. By setting it up like this, we're going to be able to do the multiplication. So 20, 10, and 8. Because now we have a 1 by 3 and a 3 by 1. So these match up, and then our new matrix in the end, we want a 1 by 1. So we're just going to get one answer, that the total cost we're looking for. So we're going to have 7 times 20 plus 3 times 10 plus 12 times 8. And that's going to come out to be $266. Next problem, a car dealer sells 4 model types A, B, C, D. On a given week, the dealer sold 10 cars of Model A, 5 of Model B, 8 of Model C, and 3 of Model D. The selling prices of each automobile are respectively these numbers. So what is the total revenue? Okay. And something like this, you probably don't even really need to understand matrix multiplication to do. You know, if we're selling 10 of A, we know we're going to do 10 times 12,500, and then if we're doing 5 of B, we're just going to do 5 times that and the 2 others, and then so multiply that and add it all together in the end. But I'm going to work the matrix stuff out for you just as good practice. So if we have, let's see, A, B, C, and D, to get a total revenue, we're going to want a 1 by 1 matrix in the end. So we could set it up by doing the prices first. So if we did, for example, like a 4 by 1 times a 1 by 4, so a 4 by 1 times a 1 by 4, yeah, those match, but then we'd be getting a 4 by 4 answer. And we're only looking for one answer in the end, so we're actually going to have to switch these around. So just be really careful the way you set these up, because it's not always gonna work out the way you want it unless you put the matrices in the right order. So let me go ahead and get rid of that stuff, and we'll start over here. And I think we could have made the same mistake on the last problem, so always just double check that what you're doing makes sense within the context of the question that's being asked. So instead, we'll set it up like we want a 1 by 4 times a 4 by 1. That way in the end we'll get a 1 by 1 answer. So A, we'll get sold 10 cars, so 10, 5, 8, and 3. Okay, we got our 1 by 4, now our 4 by 1. So we have the 12,500, 11,800, 15,900, and then 25,300. Okay, and so now we're just going to do 10 times the 12,500 plus 5 times 11,800 plus 8 times the 15,900 plus 3 times the 25,300. And in the end, we're going to get a 1 by 1 matrix. So 387 100. So, and then within the context of the problem, your answer is going to be $387,100. All right, now we have a word problem that's a little more complicated. This will be good practice for us setting matrices up. We have basically 2 art classes, and the teacher buys 3 different materials for each class in different quantities, and then we have the costs for each one. So we have tubes of paint, brushes, and canvases. So for the materials matrix, we're going to have, let's see, there's 3 materials and then there's 2 classes. So we can either set up a 2x3 or a 3x2 for the materials. And then for the cost, we can set up either a 1x3 or a 3x1 because we have 3 costs for each thing. To be able to do this problem with matrices, we're going to have, remember the rule, the inside numbers match up. Now notice in the materials matrices dimensions, there's no 1. So we probably wouldn't want to use a 1x3 for setting up the materials. Okay, so we're going to have to end up using this kind of matrix for the materials. And if our inside number is going to be 3, then we want the other inside number to be 3 as well. So we're going to want to choose the 2x3 matrix to write out the materials. So we'll do a 2x3, the 2x3 times a 3x1. And in the end, so these check out, that looks good. And in the end, we're going to get a 2x1. And that matrix is going to represent the total cost for each class of getting those materials. So let me go ahead and erase this. We have some room here. So let's list our materials in a 2x3 matrix. So 24, 12, 17, and then we're going to have 20, 14, and 15 times a 3x1. So 3.35, 1.75, and then 4.50. All right, and there's the proper setup. A lot of times with these word problems, that is going to be the most challenging part, especially if you've gotten the multiplying pattern down at this point. But let's do some more practice with that. So we are going to get a 2x1 in the end, so only 2 answers. So we'll start off with the top row of this first matrix multiplied by the entire column here. So we're, let's see, 24 times 3.35 plus 12 times 1.75 plus 17 times 450. Okay, it's going to get us the cost for class 1, and then we'll do the same thing with the amount of stuff for class 2. So now 20 times 335 plus 14 times 175, and sorry, running out of room here, plus 15 times 450. And just multiply and add everything up to get an answer in the end. So for class 1, we're going to get $177.90. That's how much it's going to cost. And then we're going to get $159 for class 2. And we can put those together in our matrix. And that's it for that one. Alright, last problem here. And this one's actually taken from a final exam. So the matrix below represents the amounts three recycling centers pay per pound for different materials. Mike is recycling 24 pounds of aluminum, 12 pounds of copper, and 34 pounds of brass. Which matrix represents the total amount of money that Mike would receive at each center? Okay, so we are going to get three answers here because you want the total for each center. So we want our multiplication to work out, so we get those three answers. We can do two different placements here. We can take those weights and put them as a matrix over here, so that we have, let's see, for example, so this is a this is a 3 by 3 matrix. So we could do that and maybe like a 3 by 1 over here, so that the insides would match. So we could do 24, 12, and 34, and get a 3 by 1 in the end. But notice the answers are in the format of 1 by 3 matrices, so it might be easier for us to put that matrix on the other side. So I'm going to erase that stuff for now. Okay, so that's a 3 by 3. If we were to do, for example, a 1 by 3 over here, we'll put those numbers out horizontally. Alright, there we go. So now we know the problem is doable, and we're going to get a 1 by 3 matrix in the end, which all the answer choices are. Okay, so we're going to take the row matrix, and we're going to put it up against every column in the second matrix here. So it's going to be, to get that first number, we're going to be doing 24 times 40 cents plus 12 times 240 plus 34 times 160. And that's going to get us 92.8 or 0.80. And so that's going to be the first answer in the matrix. And notice that B is the only choice that actually has that answer at all. You can do the other multiplication too if you want to check the rest of it, but I can assure you that it is correct. So we do those that row with the second column, and then we'll do that again with the third column. It should match up, and this should be our answer in the end. So center 1 with $92.80, center 2 with $90.88, and center 3 with $89.28.